How's it going, everybody? Today we start another build. This one is for, well, kind of a celebration. You'll understand what I'm saying in a minute. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a celebration for somebody else, or in honor of a celebration, however you want to look at it. And what I mean is, Maple Leaf Customs did a 1 year, 1,000 subscriber build off. You know, he was on for a year. He met his goal of making 1,000 subs and all that, so he had a Porsche build off. Well, that date is quickly coming up around again, so he wants to evidently do it annually. So we put the video out asking for people who wanted to participate. So I was like, heck yeah, man. You know, I hated I missed out on the first one. Found out about it a little too late, and yada yada yada, excuse after excuse, I didn't make it. So with that stated, we're going to make it this year. I'm actually starting on it. I've got about 3.5, 4 weeks to get this done, so I should make it in plenty of time. But again, it's going to be Porsche. That's his car. He owns one. So, you know, everybody's got their favorite. Mine being Camaros. I love all the die-casts. I love all cars, makes, models, trucks, planes, boats, trains, you know, everything. But with that stated, Camaro's my favorite. Porsche is his. So, in honor of that, we're going to build a Porsche because that's the rules. You have to build a Porsche. Doesn't matter the make. Doesn't matter it doesn't matter what year it is or anything like that. So I had two that I've got 5 different Porsche castings, but I narrowed it down to one, which was the 993 GT2, and I really like this casting, and I was planning on doing that, but then I was going through some of my cars that I have set aside for customs and whatnot, and I came across this one. So I fought back and forth, because what I'm going to do with this, yes, it's going to be repainted. Yes, it's going to get different wheels. But it's also going to get decals. So I was looking at it. This one has flatter lines for the decals, which makes it super simple, super easy, you know. This one's more modern. Everybody really likes this. This one, really cool casting. I love it just the way it is and everything. So, you know, it's kind of back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, I like this one for this. I like this one for that. So in the end, this one won. And I went to Walmart the other day and they had one car on the shelf. Well, I'm sorry, 2. They had 2 from the Toyota set. The little mini one, almost like the Honda 2000. And they had another one. And another casting, and when I saw it, I immediately knew I wanted that car for those wheels, because I can paint them, I can leave them as is, you know, depending on what I'm going to do with this. But I already know what I'm going to do with it. This is going to be a car that was never built. These are the wheels for it. I'm going to make these work. They should fit just fine. They're the same size, width-wise and everything. I might not even have to do any axle tubes or anything. So first thing we got to do is get these bad boys apart, right? So, you know the drill, let's do it. Now, per the rules, as I wait on this to work, per the rules of this build-off, there will be special instructions about this car at the end of the video, so be sure to watch all the way through. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be at the exact end. I'm not going to tell you that it's here. I'm not going to tell you it's there. You're going to have to watch it to find out. Sorry, but you will really like it. So, stuff's starting to work. One little corner, there we go, and she is free. It's something to put in there so it doesn't reseal itself, because it will be going back in that pack, so I don't want it to reseal itself. But look at that big boy. I mean, this is actually a nice casting. I see some blemishes and stuff that are in the paint, so I'm assuming that it's going to be in the middle as well. But you know, that's what you got to do when you get these cars. Look at them and see what you might have to take care of in advance. Oh, chip, missing paint. I guess that was that little flake that was in the pack. But overall, it's a super cool car. I really like it. But with that stated, you know what we got to do. We got to get this bad boy out of the pack. And I know there's going to be some people mad that I'm doing this to this car, but don't worry, it will be reused. I actually already have a plan for it. I'm going to detail it up a little bit, and then we'll take it'll head on to its next life, which is not here. It's going to go to Missouri, if that gives you any hint. So I'm going to save everything, and it's not done for. I promise you, it's not done for. I'll get a box so I can keep everything together. I actually have to drill and tap out while I've got everything out. I'll take the wheels off here in a minute. See if this one's ready. Oh yeah, there we go. Of course, the wheels are going to be changed to these. I think that will look really good, don't you? I think that will look really good. That almost fits. Almost fits. If I'd whack that front off, I could almost make that work. But no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to destroy the car. Let's see what this all looks like. One-seater, race car. I'm going to paint those up like nitrous bottles. Roll bar, steering wheel. Yeah, this looks really good. We'll do some detailing in there because there's a lot of glass and you can see through that glass pretty good. But I got to get these ready for screws, so let's take care of that. Alright, you know the process. Got to put the screws in it, and then she's got to go in the stripper. Now, I'm not really worried about how deep I drilled. I drilled it pretty deep. I mean, I did. I went just about as far as I could go. That's half that bit. But, you know, the screws, the thickness of the base, all that good stuff, I really don't have to worry about it. You can see, I really don't have to worry about it. I can always cut or grind off any that I need. The main thing is to get enough for the screw to bite. And then once you get that, if you have to cut a little bit off, that's fine. Because it just helps keep the dirt and the scissor stripping and everything else, the paint and all that stuff, out of the screw holes. That's really all we're shooting for anyway, and it gives us a way to put the car together and take the car back apart. But got the screws in, as you can see. They're sticking out a good bit, but I can always cut those down. But we'll see this bad boy tomorrow. Like any other car that has come to North Carolina, it has met its match and could not get away from the North Carolina red clay. Because when it is wet, you're not going anywhere. Unless you got four-wheel drive and mud tires. So we'll see this tomorrow. See you then. Now I'm fixing to go outside and get these bad boys off. Right now I'm going to take the original wheels off. And if you've never seen this, it's super simple. Screwdriver, a pick, anything can work. You can see it's got some give to it, right? Just take it, push up on one side, doesn't matter which side you push up on. Stick your pick in there, give it a little twist, and then push down with the other side. And it pops right out. Now, you may have to do a little work on it to get the new ones in. See how easy that is? But all you have to do is take something and stick in there and open those tabs back up. right? Or you could break one off like I just did, doesn't matter. And then put the new wheels in there and super glue it down. I'm just going to go ahead and break that one off. That one don't want to break. Okay, well cool. I'll push it back down and super glue it. But anyhow, there's the base. It's all ready. Of course, it'll get painted. I don't know. We'll have to see because, yeah, it'll get painted because the paint scheme I'm going to do, this just isn't going to work. So, let's stick it over here in this holder. I'll go out and get the wheels off of this one and come back and see how it's going to look on that base. And like that, we're back. Got them all cut off, so let's see how these bad boys are going to look on here and see if they're going to fit. Yeah, they'll fit. I'll have to do a little bit of work. Just a little bit. What I'm going to do is get these little nubs on the back, which are basically spacers to make the wheels fit, stick out the way you want them to. I'll just file them down with a hand file and make them fit. Now on the other hand, the back ones are not going to fit. They are going to have an axle tube. No way around it. So if I'm going to be doing one, I might as well be doing two, right? So we'll be putting an axle tube in there, but that's how they're going to look. I think they're going to be super clean on here. I'll probably just leave them gray. They'll look super clean on there. But now I got to build an axle tube. Okay. Not a problem. I've built many of them. Just giving this a one over and looking at it. I guess I'll make that the fire retardant system because Porsches don't have nitrous in them. What color am I going to do the interior? That's the question. Let's see. Alright, here we go. Let's take a look at this bad boy really quick. I just took it out of the stripper. Used nothing but this to brush it off under the running water. And as you can see, did a marvelous job. I left this in overnight, so probably a little over 24 hours. I left it in overnight, took it out, and this is how it looks. I mean, there's no leftover paint, there's no nothing. I mean, that citrus strip does a wonderful job. It doesn't smell, and it just works really good. Okay, so here it is, straight out of the stripper. That's what it looks like. I haven't brushed it, I haven't knocked anything off of it. This is straight out of the stripper. You can still see there's citrus strip in the cracks and everything. But we're going to brush all that off. We're going to knock all this gray material off and see what we have underneath it. So that's the next step. I normally just take the brush and go along and knock anything out of the cracks and crevices. And then I come back and hit it with the steel wool once I'm satisfied. But that's the way it looks right this second. Let's hit it with the steel wool and see how it looks now. I don't really see anything that stands out that I need to take care of. I mean, they did a great job on this casting. They really did. Let's see how it looks after the steel wool. Doesn't take but just a second to do this. You can see I've already knocked all that gray stuff off. And you can see the fine pitting and stuff in it and the scratches and whatnot. That's no big deal. Primer will hide all of that. I just want to really start with a good clean base. This is not going to get spectraflame. This is going to get primed and painted. I'll just go ahead and tell you it's going to be a two-tone paint job. Seems like I'm on a two-tone kick here lately. But The reason I'm doing two-tone on this, like I said, this is a car that never was. The decals I have actually go on something else, but we're going to use it on this particular casting. You know, it's just a fun little build. You know, when you do customs or anything like that, you know, sometimes you just think outside the box. You make do with what you have. I was going to order some race livery tempos for this, or decals for it, or decals as they say it on the other side of the pond, but I was like, I have these, how would these look on here? So that's what we're going with. We're going with that thought process. How will these look on here? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Alright, I got some 320 here. Let's hit this bad boy and see how it cleans up. Not going for perfection, I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit so that we can give the primer something to stick to. I'm going to do the whole car, and then this bad boy will be ready for the primer. Alright, here's what we're doing now. I've got it all sanded. Looks pretty good. That's ready for primer. I just have to degrease it and hit it with some isopropyl alcohol. But before we do any priming and painting, we need to take care of the base. And what I mean by that, here's the wheels that I'm using. So I need to, the axles weren't long enough from the car that I took them out of, so we need to put them in and make sure that everything's going to work. And what I did was I cut some axle tubes, so we got to fit those in there. I could, if the base was painted, I could just glue them in just like this, mash them down, let them set for a second and be done. But we're going to put axle tubes in it. I have them cut, but we have to channel out the base for it because it's not big enough for this to go in. It'll go in it, but it sits high. It doesn't sit down in the groove. So we need to make this groove bigger and cut out those tabs too. Now, one thing to realize when you do axle tubes is these grooves are not big enough for this axle tube. They're only big enough for the axles themselves. So you have to cut them out, which means taking out this material on the sides too, or it won't go all the way down. Now, if you're trying to get a lowered stance, then by all means just put your axle tube in there and go with it. But if you want it to be correct height, you need to cut your axle tube and make sure that it goes all the way down to the bottom of each side, and make sure there's no wobble to it. In other words, when you put it in there and you push down on one side, look at the other side and make sure there's no gap. If there's a gap between the plastic base and the brass, then you've got something in there that's causing it to not want to sit flat. So always check that out, because if you don't, when you put your car together, it's not, all four wheels are not going to want to hit together. But here's the reason we do all this, so that we can test fit everything. Make sure there's no rubbing issues. Make sure all four wheels roll good, which they do. And that's what it's all about. We want to make sure everything is just right. And as you can see, this bad boy rolls good. And we can go from there. It's now ready to prime and paint. I went ahead and I'll go ahead and take it back apart. Just so I can make sure that it rolled really smooth and looked better when I painted it, I went ahead and filed those little tabs down flat. So now I can prime and paint the base the same color I do the body. And if I want to do any detailing, I can, and you'll never know that I filed that. But that's why we do it. That way you can just make sure that everything's right. I mean, you can go ahead and glue the wheels into the axles now, and then whenever you got ready to put them in the car, all you gotta do is put a dab of glue in there, put the axles in, hold it. But you see how this has a little bit of a wobble to it? You don't want that. So I've got to work on that one for just a second longer. This one doesn't have that. I need to work on that front just a little bit more. Alright, again, we're making a car that never was. But here's the paint job, two-tone. And I went ahead and put on a coat of clear so that the decals that I'm going to add to this will have something to slide around on. Because if you put it on matte finish, the decals will not want to slide real good. They'll want to stick and grab. So I went ahead and put on a layer of clear coat. This this color is actually pretty funny because, as I've mentioned before in some of my other videos, if you put on a bright base color, the colors that you put on top of it will be brighter, more vibrant, and it'll take less coats. This is literally 2 coats of yellow over a gray. And if you look at this during the daylight, it almost looks green, has a green tint to it, because the gray base coat is reacting with the green and making it look that way. I should have used white, but I was trying to spray multiple cars. I think I was spraying like 5 cars at one time, and all of them except this car required the other base coat, so I went ahead and did it. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I mean, I love this paint job and everything, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for the decals and seeing what this bad boy looks like. Now, the decals that I have chosen for this, like I said, this is a car that never was. But every year in Japan, they hold a Hot Wheels convention. And at that show, you can get convention cars. Well, there's the decals. Actual Hot Wheels convention. But this set is for the Datsun 510, as you can see right there. So, of course, we won't be using that. We might be using part of it, like this top corner. We might use that somewhere. But we're going to be using the sides, the roof, and I may take the moon house part and put on the hood, because this will not be going there. Because it's too big to... I know what I'll do. I'll put the moon eyes on the roof and the paintbrush on the hood. And then we have the sides. Go with moon. And then, of course, the surfboards on one side. If I'm not mistaken, the surfboards go on this side. And the surf rod goes on the other side. But anyhow, that's what we're going with, so let's get to it. I got to get these cut out. And then you're watching me cut out decals. That's like watching grass grow. So we'll get back to that in just a second. Alright, I've got everything laid out here because I don't want to show you the paint job just yet. I want to talk to you for just a second and show you what all we have. I've got the axles made up. As you can see, the wheels spin freely. They fit in there perfect and all that. I've got the grooves cut out in the base. All I did was cut out the base, clear coat the base. And like I said, I want it to be about the paint job and the decals, so I did not do anything to the interior. I really want to do the roll bar and the fire retardant system and all that, but at this point I decided not to. And while I'm showing you this, I want to tell you the trick about this car. The trick about this car is I really enjoyed building it, but part of the build off process and rules is you have to give this car away. And I'm putting this in now, and I'm going to speak about it real quickly because you have to give it away, and I only want people to actually watch the videos to have a chance to get it. And this is for United States only. Sorry if you live outside the country. So if you're interested in this car, be sure to put in 2 words, Japanese convention, because that's what the decals were, the Japanese convention decals. So just put that in your comment below, and that will be used for the random comment picker to pick it. So all I'm going to say about it. So good luck to everyone, and back to the video. But anyhow, there's that. And we've got the glass. There's really nothing to do to that. So let's get this bad boy assembled. Now here's what we started with. It's a really cool casting and everything. I like it. It's my first one that I've done. But like I say, I like it. It's a really cool casting and everything. And I don't know, just actually it's a fun build, but you have to do some thinking about, like I was saying, about when you tape this bad boy off and everything, because the angles and everything can make it a little bit difficult. But that's okay. We got it done. We got it accomplished, and I think she turned out beautiful. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I'd like to thank everybody for their interest in this build. Andrew over at Maple Leaf Customs, I'd like to thank you, brother, for doing this, for giving everyone the opportunity to do this build. It was actually a lot of fun. And yeah, with that being stated, here's the final product. Hope everybody enjoys, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.